Would it bother you if your husband did this? I am not the oop. Oop is you, throw RATV. Would it bother you if your husband did this? Originally posted to our relationship advice. Trigger warning. Emotional manipulation. Accusations of infidelity. Less than. Original post recovered with raw Reddit June 27, 2022. I'm asking here because my mother says I'm justified in feeling uncomfortable with this and my younger sister says I'm not. For background information, I'm 35, female. My husband is 38, male. We've been married for 11 years. We have 2 sons. There's a young woman, 25, female, who rents an apartment down the street from our house. She and my husband knew each other from years ago, because she used to be friends with my brother-in-law, who now lives in another state. He lost contact with almost everyone from his past, including his family, for a while, but he's starting to turn his life around now. So my husband kind of knew her when they were younger, but they didn't stay in contact or have any relationship with each other until last summer when she moved into her current apartment. She's a nice girl. Sometimes she helps out watching our boys when something comes up. We always invite her over when we have parties or BBQs. She gets along well with everyone. The first thing that happened that bothered me, that could just be me overreacting, was one night she had come over to watch our sons when our normal babysitter pulled out last minute. She always refuses payment, so we bought her takeout from a local restaurant with the rest of us, and she ate over. She had been swimming with the boys in our pool, and at one point said something about being cold. I was going to tell her I would run upstairs and grab her one of my sweaters when my husband took off the hoodie he was wearing and gave it to her. It just made me feel uncomfortable for some reason. But again, I don't know if I'm overreacting or not. I talked to my husband and told him how it made me feel, and told him next time in a situation like that it was so much easier to go and get one of my sweaters. He did apologize, but it doesn't help that after he gave it to her she kept it for a few days. When she brought it back it smelled overwhelmingly like her. I asked him if he wanted me to wash it and he said no. As far as I know it still hasn't been washed. Last night, she came over for a graduation party for one of Son's elementary school graduation. She got a phone call in the middle of it and left for about an hour. My husband went over to check on her and she came back but seemed really upset and said something was going on with her mom health-wise. I didn't get much more info than that because I was hosting the party. Later on, almost everyone had left. I was putting the boys to bed. The 2 of them were talking by the fire pit on this swing we have. She still seemed really upset and he had his arm around her shoulders and was clearly trying to cheer her up. None of that bothered me. What bothers me is that when I came back outside they were both asleep on the swing with her head on him. I woke them up and they both seemed genuinely surprised and she got up. But they didn't seem as though they got caught or anything. I talked to my husband again about how it bothered me and he apologized but said that he was just trying to make her feel better, and since then relationship is completely platonic. I don't have anything to be uncomfortable about, and he asked if I would be upset if she was a cousin. I told him no, but she's not a cousin. He said okay and that he understood, but I don't know if he really does or was just tired and wanted the conversation to be over peacefully. My mother agreed that if she was in this situation she would be upset, but my sister thinks I'm overreacting and she'd be fine with this. But my sister also isn't married. I'm not completely sure if I'm overreacting or not, so I'm looking for some other perspectives. Last night, she came over for a graduation party for one of Son's. She got a phone call in the middle of it and left for about an hour. My husband went over to check on her and she came back but seemed really upset and said something was going on with her mom health-wise. I didn't get much more info than that because I was hosting the party. Update recovered with raw Reddit June 29, 2022. Part 1. Hello everyone. Thank you for all of the words of advice and different perspectives on my situation. The unanimous consensus seemed to be to talk to my husband again and set boundaries. I sat down and had another talk with him. I told him I wasn't accusing him of anything and laid out exactly how everything had made me feel. He seemed genuinely sorry that I felt that way, and said he was happy that I talked to him about it all and was open about it. But he said that he didn't understand. He said that if I was secure in our relationship, and his loyalty and monogamy, and that if I trusted her, he didn't understand why I was upset about these things. I tried to ask him if he would feel like it wasn't a big deal if the roles were reversed, and it was a male friend who I was getting close to like that. He said that if there was a male and he knew the feelings were completely platonic, he would be fine with it. But he said that he respected that I wasn't, and that he was going to be more aware around her. He said he didn't think it was fair to cut her off or stop inviting her over or having her watch. The boys and I did agree. I'm glad that he respected my boundaries and heard me out. I do wish he had understood where I was coming from a bit better though. Either way, thanks for the advice to talk to him again. I'm happy I was clear about how it all made me feel and he knows now. Part 2. I wrote the above update and was going to post it, but then we had a fight, which I think is worth bringing up here. There were so many people talking about the hoodie, so I went to go get it, and I washed it. When I was folding the laundry, my husband came in and saw that I had washed it and definitely seemed a little annoyed. He kind of sighed, rolled his eyes and shook his head. I didn't say anything though. Later on, as he was putting everything away into his closet, he held up the hoodie and was like, "I told you that you didn't have to wash it. If you're so sure I'm going to cheat on you, why does it matter what my hoodie smells like?" And then he took it and threw it onto the floor of his closet instead of hanging it up with the rest of them. I told him I didn't think he was going to cheat on me, but I didn't like his clothing smelling overpoweringly like another woman. He said it hadn't smelled overpoweringly like her. She had just already washed it, so it smelled like her fabric softener. He said I was harping on this and that I was behaving ridiculously, etc. I told him that all I had done was wash a hoodie, which was the same thing I would have done if one of our kids' clothes came back from a friend's house. Today after he got dressed, his closet door was open and I saw the hoodie wasn't on the floor anymore. But it wasn't with his other sweatshirts either. I asked him where it was, and he didn't answer. He just said, really low, to himself, "You've got to be kidding me. Here we go again." I told him that I wasn't trying to start anything. It had been on the floor and now it wasn't, so if it needed to be cleaned again or ironed, I would. He turned around, told me to let go of the F-King hoodie. I'm not talking about it again. I was completely shocked because he never talked to me like that before, especially not in front of our kids. He didn't even apologize. He just left for work and slammed the door. I really didn't mean to make such a big deal about the hoodie. I kind of feel like he's making a big deal about me washing it. Right? This is a repost sub IAM, not the oop. I wonder where the hoodie went. Guess we'll never know. Woman shrugging. The moment I knew with absolute certainty that my friend was having an affair was when a woman who was not his wife got up from her chair and walked across the room to him at a seated dinner party and took his jacket off the back of his chair and put it on because she felt cold. Then sat back down again, all in front of his wife. And yes, I was right. Am I the only one who would, once alone with my partner, open the conversation with, "WTF? I feel it's common sense 101 that you don't go snuggling and falling asleep with someone who isn't your partner." The old, I'd totally be fine with another man comforting my wife and snuggling with her. To make her look unreasonable for being upset her husband is snuggling with a neighbor. At her own party in her own home. He made it weird about the hoodie and told on himself. He said that if I was secure in our relationship, and his loyalty and monogamy, and that if I trusted her, he didn't understand why I was upset about these things. Dude, have her the textbook answer cheaters do. He made her feel guilty about wanting to put very minor boundaries in place. Oop is in denial at this point. Before my wife and I started dating, she was forever borrowing my hoodie. This always annoyed me as we were part of a team that all wore the same hoodies and I knew she had one just like it. It wasn't until we were engaged that she told me that the reason she always borrowed my hoodie was because it smelled like me. Funnily enough, she still borrows my shirts for the same reason 29 years later. However, in this instance I believe that the reason Hubble is upset is that he is harboring lust for this woman and spoiled it by washing the hoodie. He probably accidentally left the hoodie at her place hoping that she would wear it again. Am a husband, and yes, those are not signs of a healthy marital relationship. He either cheated or he's crushing hard. Regardless, this is all bad for Oop. He vehemently denies and defends his dalliance with this woman over his wife's concerns and feelings. So much into putting your spouse and family first. I hate the "aren't you secure in our relationship and loyalty" comeback and the general accusations of not trusting him or the friend. There is nothing wrong with being bothered by those slipping boundaries. I would be too. And a healthy couple should communicate when things bother them. As somebody who has been cheated on in the past, I personally find the husband's reactions as major red flags. He at the very least seems to have some sort of feelings developing that are inappropriate for somebody in a committed relationship. Burn the hoodie. I have never fallen asleep on a hammock cuddling a female or male friend when I am in a relationship. Never. That is some serious emotional cheating. Oh boy, I am having flashbacks to my marriage. And yay, my husband was cheating. Several times. And yes, denial is a river in Egypt and was also in my head. He's already cheating, maybe not sexually, but emotionally. Yeah, might be nothing. But my money is on, he's a total and if he's not cheating then he wishes he were. If I washed my man's hoodie a second time he might think I'm nuts, but he'd keep his mouth shut about it and be grateful I'm doing his laundry in the first place. One guess where that hoodie ended up. He's saying it's okay for her do the same with a male friend. Because he's trying to deflect. Make himself seem innocent, like the big trusting man. Why are there open-ended Boru posts? This one's infuriating. IRMBR this. It's open-ended emo. I wish the wife would update again. The husband was infatuated with the friend 100%. It was already an emotional affair. Physical cheating probably followed. Ooh boy. How would he have known her from years ago? He was 13 when she was born.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.